greatest prison that exists is the one that we do not know exists. The greatest prison that exists is the one that we do not know exists. My greatest concern, through and through, is the estate of the devotional conversations, thoughts, feelings, actions, words, and behaviors, or in one word, character. The devotional conversations character. And the devotional conversations character framed along the lines of the concept, or through the concept of justification. And what is justification? If we could just place that into words, what is that? A belated discovery, one that causes considerable anguish, is that no one can persuade another to change. Each of us guards a gate of change that can only be unlocked from the inside. We cannot open the gate of another, either by argument or by emotional appeal. To the individual whose gate of change is well defended, the transformative process, even in others, is threatening. The new beliefs and perceptions of others challenge the right reality of the unchanging person. Something in himself must have to die. This prospect is frightening, for our identities are constituted more truly by our beliefs than by our bodies. The ego, that collection of qualms and convictions, dreads its own demise. Indeed, each transformation is a kind of suicide, the killing of aspects of the ego to save a more fundamental self. This is justification. Justification being a process of transformation through death. Our devotional conversation is born dead. It's born dead. Justification is the process of transforming that deadness into liveliness. And again, just to confirm, what is it that is to be transformed? Into the book of Psalms. Psalm 50:23, whoso offereth praise glorifieth me, and to him, and this is what I wanted to highlight, that ordereth his conversation aright, will I show the salvation of God. There's nothing extra there. There's nothing extra there that's very plain, that's very blatant. There are many different on-the-surface philosophies that the Bible upholds. Underneath it all, which in the previous episodes I'm hoping to convey, is a philosophy of waking up. Waking up to what the surface is portraying as legitimate. Again, Plato's allegory of the cave, what's being portrayed, what's being projected on the surface to make you believe that the surface is the most legitimate, penetrating ideal. What is that? It's a false surface, and it always will be. Beneath the surface is what I'm more concerned about. Beneath the surface, there is a call for the salvation of not you, of not me, of not the world, of not the denomination, of not the sector, of not the field, but of your, my, our devotional conversation. This is where salvation is geared to. And again, these are all terms I've explained many times, but figuratively constrained to the context of this text. How this text is defining itself, we have to pay attention to. We have to wake up from that grave, and that's what I want to highlight at this moment. The grave that has to be resurrected from. Psalm 51. Psalm 51:10. Create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew a right spirit within me. Now we can understand from reading this that this me is not personal. If I will show salvation to the one that orders their conversation aright, what should have a renewed spirit is not personal. This me is not personal. This me is held specifically to the devotional conversation, and even more specifically, to the conscience of the devotional conversation's character. Plato's allegory of the cave, for which the previous episode was about, I'm glad that I put that out there, because the Bible has its own take on that. The Bible also has an allegory of the cave within it, and it can be found in various places. We're going to see this at this time, that the Bible, at the core, wants the individual devotional conversation to resurrect from the grave or from the cave or from the death that it is naturally confined to the book of Hosea. Hosea 13 and 14, I will ransom them from the power of the grave. I will redeem them from death. O death, I will be thy plagues. O grave, I will be thy destruction. Repentance shall be hid from mine eyes. Psalm 49:15, God will redeem my soul from the power of the grave, for he shall receive me. So this theme, I'm only highlighting these two verses here, but this theme is very consistent from Genesis to Malachi. The devotional conversation is confined to a grave. And we can understand the grave that it is confined to going back to the beginning of the controversy in the book of Genesis, chapter 3. Genesis 3 and verse 5 reads, God doth know that in the day you eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and you shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. The construction for the grave that the devotional conversation is in, we are told in the first 3 chapters of the book of Genesis. It's very evident. By the time you get here, you're seeing the construction manifested in a term called gods. The grave that the devotional conversation is held to is the grave of gods. But who are gods? Staying in the book of Genesis in this chapter, we can get a firm grasp of who this is. Genesis 3 and verse 6, when it says, the woman saw the tree was good for food, that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree desired to make one wise, we can contrast this with 1 John 2:16, whose language is the same yet more emphatic. All that is in the world, the lust of the flesh and the lust of the eyes and the pride of life, is not of the Father, but is of the world. The very idea of seeing that the tree was good for food and that it was pleasant to the eyes and that it was a tree desired to make one wise is the fulfillment of the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life. The adoption of such is the adoption of what is called the world. When adopting the world, one is actually adopting, in essence, the mindset, the experience of gods. Gods, according to the Bible's mind, and as I have brought out in previous times, gods are agents of the religious world. Gods are agents of the religious world. The Bible does not emphasize deities. There are no deities fundamentally within the scriptures. The gods here in mention are highlighted in the book of John. John 18:20. Jesus answered him, I spake openly to the world. I ever taught in the synagogue and in the temple, whither the Jews always resort, and in secret have I said nothing. When hearing about the world in the scriptures, in the Bible, the primary context for the quote-unquote world is the religious world. It is the world where the Jews resort. It is the world of church. It is the world of synagogue. To consume what that tree represented was to consume the landscape, the framework, the mindset, the practice, the discipline of gods, which mindset, practice, discipline, worldview, the fulfilling of the lust of the flesh, the pride of life, and the lust of the eyes, it is connected to what is called the quote-unquote world or the religious world. In essence, to choose the path of gods is to choose the path whither the Jews resort. To choose the path of gods is to choose the path of the religious world. But what does that ultimately mean?
Want to know about an efficient way to study the Bible? In just a few seconds, I'll show you how. Introducing Bible Gateway Plus, your ultimate Bible study companion. With a subscription, you get access to premium resources and tools. Imagine exploring the Bible with commentaries and study notes at your fingertips. Bible Gateway Plus integrates everything seamlessly. Want to dive deeper into the Bible? It's simple with exclusive content like dictionaries, devotionals, and more. Enhance your personal relationship with the Bible today. Sign up for Bible Gateway Plus and transform your study routine. Because Bible Gateway is our sponsor, be sure to use the affiliate link to secure your discount. Happy studying, and may your journey be blessed.
Turning to the book again of the Psalms. Psalm 82, verse 1, 2, and 3. God standeth in the congregation of the mighty, he judgeth among the gods. How long will you judge unjustly and accept the persons of the wicked? Defend the poor and fatherless, do justice to the afflicted and needy. Now everything here really needs to be paid attention to because the context allows us to understand who this is actually talking about. Whoever this is talking about, they are the ones that are being judged. Who is this talking about and who here is being judged? Going to the book of Isaiah. Isaiah 59 in verse 4, none calleth for justice, nor any pleadeth for truth. They trust in vanity and speak lies. They conceive mischief and bring forth vanity. Now remember, Psalm 82, verse 2, how long will you judge unjustly and accept the persons of the wicked? Verse 3, defend the poor and the fatherless, do justice to the afflicted and the needy. Who is it that is not doing justice in Isaiah 59 in verse 4? None call for justice, none pleadeth for truth. Isaiah 59 in verse 6, their webs shall not become garments, neither shall they cover themselves with their works. Their works are works of iniquity, and the act of violence is in their hands. Who is it that goes about consuming and pushing out works? Who is it that is committing works of violence by their hands? Whoever this is the same from Isaiah 59:4 that does not call for justice. And whoever this is the same from Psalm 82 that is not defending the poor or the fatherless, and that is not effectively placing into practice justice. And whoever is not doing this, it's going back to Psalm 82:1 as being representative of quote-unquote gods. Who is this? Isaiah 59, still in Isaiah 59, 12 to 14, for our transgressions are multiplied before thee, and our sins testify against us, for our transgressions are with us, and as for our iniquities, we know them. In transgressing and lying against the Lord, and departing away from our God, speaking oppression and revolt, conceiving and uttering from the heart words of falsehood, and judgment is turned away backward, and justice standeth afar off, for truth is fallen in the street, and equity cannot enter. Who is this our? Who is this our that the author is talking about? Our transgressions are with us. Who is this our? Who is this we? Who is this they? Who is this there? Who is this that the author is talking about? Whoever this is, it goes back to quote-unquote gods. The same individuals who are fulfilling everything that we're reading here. Who is this? To the book of Micah. Micah 3, 1 through 3. And I said, hear, I pray you, O heads of Jacob, and you princes of the house of Israel, is it not for you to know judgment? Now remember, we were just told in the book of Isaiah that they do not do or know judgment. Who is this talking about? O heads of Jacob, and you princes of Israel, is it not for you to know judgment, who hate the good, love the evil, pluck off their skin from off them, and their flesh from off their bones, who also eat the flesh of my people, flay their skin from off them, they break their bones, chop them in pieces, as for the pot, and as flesh within the cauldron. Who's this talking about? None other than the priesthood. This is how the Bible views how priests, pastors, ministers, seminary trained, rabbinical school trained, biblical expert trained. This is how the Bible views how they treat the individuals concerned with what is at the core of this text. Priesthood, priests, institutionally trained, accredited, trained. This is who the Bible acknowledges are quote unquote gods. And this is who the Bible acknowledges that the devotional conversation needs to get away from and to resurrect from. Gods to the Bible's mind do not exist in the way that we in 2024 would believe them to exist. To the Bible's mind, gods are non-existent. Gods are not defined according to the imprint of which we would place on to that. Bible has a context. Bible has a narrative. That narrative and that context is held to the terms and to the illustrations that the Bible puts forth. That's how we can understand what the Bible is talking about. To the Bible's mind, gods means priests. Gods mean priesthood. Again, how can we further know that? And this is going to be very evident in what we're going to see in the book of Jeremiah. And also, as we do see it, remember the language used from the book of Isaiah and then also from Psalm 82. Jeremiah 5:26 to 28. For among my people are found wicked men, they lay wait, as he that setteth snares, that set a trap, they catch men. As a cage is full of birds, so are their houses full of deceit, therefore they are become great and waxen rich. They are waxen fat, they shine, yea, they overpass the deeds of the wicked. They judge not the cause of the fatherless, yet they prosper, and the right of the needy do they not judge. Now remember, this sounds very familiar. Jeremiah 5:28, the cause of the fatherless, yet they prosper. They don't do anything with the fatherless. They don't judge the cause, the right of the needy. They don't judge. This sounds very familiar to Psalm 82. Remember when it says in Psalm 82 in verse 1, God standeth in the congregation of the mighty, judgeth among the gods. Verse 2, how long will you judge unjustly and accept the persons of the wicked? Verse 3, defend the poor and fatherless, do justice to the afflicted and the needy. Here we have in the book of Jeremiah individuals failing to do this, and it falls right back down to the same language in Psalm 82, 1 through 3. Who is this that is not fulfilling whatever is being said in Jeremiah 5:26 to 28? Who is fulfilling the vision? This is ultimately priesthood that's fulfilling the vision. This is, again, how we can know that gods to the Bible's mind, they're not deities, because deities don't exist to the Bible. The context is in reference to priesthoods. Again, how can we further know that? The book of Ezekiel 9 and verse 9, then said he unto me, the iniquity of the house of Israel and Judah is exceeding great. The land is full of blood, the city full of perverseness, for they say, the Lord hath forsaken the earth, and the Lord seeth not. Can parallel this to the book of Micah. Micah 3, verse 11, the heads thereof judge for reward, and the priests thereof teach for hire, the prophets thereof divine for money. Yet will they lean upon the Lord and say, is not the Lord among us? None evil can come upon us. The same none evil can come upon us. It is the same, the Lord sees not, the Lord has forsaken the earth. This is priesthood. This is priesthood. The devotional conversation is held to the grave of priesthood. The controversy, which is illustrated in the first 3 chapters of the book of Genesis, the garden scene tells this very clearly. The error is priesthood. Sin is priest. Sin is priesthood. Sin comes from priest and priesthood. We have whatever we have concerning transgression, this, concerning that, concerning right, concerning wrong. Keep that to us. Bible's concern when it comes to sin and sinner and the craft of such is not what we would imagine. This is very evident. To the Bible's mind, the sinner is the priest. The sinner is the seminary trained, the rabbinical school trained, the accredited expert. This is sinner because they work craft by hand and by mouth. against the intended character at the core of the scriptures. The sinner and the sin are tied in one. The they, the we, the our, the there that the author of Isaiah is talking about. And then again here in the book of Jeremiah, this is to one identity. And it is not held to a particular religious denomination. It is not held to a particular religious denomination's priesthood. This is held to universal clauses. Priesthood in general. Priest in general. Bible doesn't mix and mash. In general. These are the sinners, and this is the sin. This is the grave that our devotional conversation needs to come up out of. And the grave because it's attached to a framework. What framework? Ecclesiastes 3:10 and 11. I have seen the toil which God hath given to the sons of men to be exercised in it. He hath made everything beautiful in his time. Also he hath set the world in their heart, so that no man can find out the work that God maketh from the beginning to the end. Our devotional conversation is tied. Our devotional conversation is tied and entrenched within the framework of the religious world. The framework of the religious world. This is our grave. The religious world built up upon the framework of priest and priesthood. You can imagine whatever you want to imagine from that. Everything that we have and that we know is passed down from priesthood. Whether you are believing you are not attached to what is out there, or whether you are believing that you are above what is out there, can guarantee your framework is still attached to what is out there, because the womb is yet there for the devotional conversation to swim in. We have to pass out of the womb. We have to quit the grave. We have to see the cave. We have to wake up from the death of the slumber, because that same death and slumber that's given to those sons of men, which are the priesthood, which are the gods, we being born in there, not we personally, our devotional conversation being born within their womb, within their framework, we naturally take on their slumber, their death. Bible knows this. We don't. We have to wake up to the slumber and to the death that our devotional conversation is in and transform. That's justification.
Ever wondered how to truly connect with the Bible? In just 60 seconds, you'll discover a unique way to deepen your faith. Knowing Bible is a course crafted to bring you closer to the Bible and yourself. Tailored to fit your learning goals, it offers a personal journey. Through readings, reflections, and interactive classroom dynamics, you'll grow spiritually. Assignments are designed to give you space for personal devotion. This course helps you envision a devotional experience that truly suits you. Imagine a course that meets you where you are and takes you deeper. Don't miss this chance to transform your spiritual life. Click the link in the description for more information.
Now that transformation, it's tied to the experience and to the devotional character called and entitled, quote unquote, Israel, which is not a person, which in right context should not be looked at as an individual person to be pinpointed in history, but should be looked at as an experience. That's why episodes prior I said, in context, Israel is not the name of a denomination. Israel is the character of a designated conversation. Israel is not a denomination. This is not an individual designated character. No one is philosophically supposed to separate one individual person to be what we're reading here. This is supposed to be each and every single devotional conversation in each and every single age of the humankind that will take hold of these things, that will pass through stages of growth and development within their devotional experience. They are to claim this, not by force, not calling themselves this. As we're seeing here, this isn't something that one can assume. One has to go through some things. And it was for good reason. It was for the reason to keep in the frame of reference, to keep in context the type of experience that the Bible is expecting from its student, from its patient, which experience from the book of Isaiah, Isaiah 50 and verse 4, the Lord God hath given me the tongue of the learned, that I should know how to speak a word in season to him that is weary. He wakeneth morning by morning. He wakeneth my ear to hear as the learned. This is a particular experience that the devotional conversation is given. Our devotional conversation is to be trained. It's to be trained after being separated. It's to be trained for a purpose, individual and specific, for its own self. Again, that's why I highlighted in that particular episode, still in the book of Isaiah, Isaiah 49, 1 and 2, listen, O isles, unto me, and hearken, you people from far. The Lord hath called me from the womb. From what? The Lord hath called me from the womb. That's another word for cave. That's another word for grave. That's another word for death. From the bowels of my mother hath he made mention of my name, and he hath made my mouth like a sharp sword. In the shadow of his hand hath he hid me, and made me a polished shaft. In his quiver hath he hid me. The point of highlighting, quote unquote, Israel as not an individual is to get the mind away from idolizing a specific figure that may or may not be in the historical lens that one would imagine, to then draw the mind to the intended purpose and context that is within the scriptures, which is experience for the growth and the development of character, specific character, Israel. This is a character that the devotional conversation is to acquire after passing through learning. After passing through learning, and efficient and consistent learning, continually rehashing, pruning and purging from within by what is acquired, to then gain the experience necessary to claim the invisible denomination, Israel, which is not an invisible denomination of worship or anything of that nature or matter, is connected to character. Connected to character. The character is what the Bible is concerned with. There is no backdrop of this in the book of Isaiah as we're reading of this quote unquote Israel, no backdrop of their death. There is no thought of anything connected to that. There's no backdrop of their origin. There is no historical reference. Bible doesn't initially care about that because Bible, being a philosophical text, is concerned about experience for what is within. Because to the Bible's mind, it's defining salvation by one's willingness to order their experience. Whoever can do that, whoever is willing to do that, they will understand, quote unquote, salvation. There's nothing phenomenal attached to that, or supernatural or superstitious or extraterrestrial. It's very, very simple. It's very simple. Our devotional conversation is born to a grave. Our devotional conversation needs to resurrect from that grave. The journey to that resurrection is the journey of possessing character called Israel. Character called Israel is only going to be in possession through an experience of learning, of pruning, and of purging, and also of unlearning. That allows us to understand that what we have been going through, what we have been taken to be a real and verified experience, and what we believe to believe, and what is solidifying our belief to keep on believing what it's believing, when going through that experience, we're going to go through this training and this discipline of waking up morning by morning. This is figurative, this is not literal. Waking morning by morning, day by day, period by period, session by session with the scriptures, to understand the type of character that is within it and that is also within the individual devotional character, which will give birth to the individual character within the being of the human. At that point, our birthright can kick in because we are receiving due from above for the purpose of understanding the service that is to extend outside of us. That's the prison that the Bible's mind wants us to escape from so that we can understand the residence that our devotional conversation needs to occupy, which is a residence of learning, which is a residence of refreshing, which is a residence of resurrecting, which is a residence that is benevolent not just to us, but to those that are around us from what we will comprehend through what we're going through. We have to be willing to go through that. That's making sense of the cave and the projections that are on it, so that we can understand that what we have been believing is sincere, and sincerely believing to be sincerely factual. It's not flowing with the type of experience, the type of wisdom, the type of understanding that the core of the scriptures would have its student, its learner, its patient really understand for itself in a way that matters for growth and for development.